Building room session number 3. Hello and welcome to the bSDD International Standards Summit in Rome 2023. Thank you for joining us today, both in the room and online. My name is John Proctor. I am your moderator today. Details of this session are on the screen. Building room session number 3, the final session from the building room. David Ivey and Mirbek Bekboliev will be demonstrating the use of IFC and bSDD using a model of a container building. Before I hand over to Mirbek, who'll be running the session from his laptop, I'd like to remind you this is a hybrid event. People online, your microphones will remain muted for the duration. If you have any questions or comments to raise, please do so in the comments box, and I'll prompt you shortly to do just that. In the room, if you want to ask anything or get involved in the session, please raise your hand. We've got roving microphones and we'll give you a mic so everyone can hear, both in the room and online. I'm going to bring your attention to the information that's going to be on the screen now. That bSMART is committed to ensuring that participation and development of standards is unrestricted and the process for their adoption is transparent, and that standards that are developed do not favour any particular provider, but are open, non-binding and accessible to all. Please take note of our antitrust code of conduct. Okay, I'm going to hand over to Mirbek.
Okay, you ready? All right. Welcome to the last class of the last day, bSMART 2023 Rome Standards Summit. I am David Ivey. I'm the co-chair of the building room. I'm here with Mirbek Bekboliev, our technical lead in the room. And he's going to be doing the hard demo part of this presentation. You want to go to the next slide? What do we got? Oh, yeah, there we are. Okay. I don't think we need to look at that too much. We can just move on. So the inception for this class today, I should start by saying that there is a master class for IDS down the hall in Salah L. This is Salah A. So if you're looking for the master class, this ain't it. This is very, very basic, and it was kind of born out of the idea. We had a leadership summit in London a few months ago. It was really the first time that I was exposed to IDS, and I wanted to kind of try to understand it more. So we'll look at some sketches that I did that that I showed around, and people said, well, we should just do a session on that. And then later it became, well, there's a lot of sessions on that. And I've been to some of those sessions, and there was one the first day by Menakis that was phenomenal. It really dove into all the details. We're not going to go into any of those details. We're really just kind of at a high level. My goal was to understand it from an end user kind of standpoint, right? I'm a person who works for an architecture firm, manages a lot of people who are doing the modeling and doing this kind of stuff. And the workflow is very much centered around, you know, a client comes to me and says, oh, I need these, you know, I need these properties for my rooms. I need you to be able to get them in there, and then I'm going to check them, and then I'm going to send that stuff back to you. So it's a validation workflow, and you know, we're kind of addressing it to people that are kind of in that vein. So if you're looking for code and a lot of other jargon, that's why I got him. So an overview of IDS, just the basics. This is a 101 class. So what does IDS stand for? It's an information delivery specification, right? And we are full of acronyms here at bSMART. So it's just happens to be kind of the latest, one of the newest acronyms that we have. IDS is machine and human readable, right? So we can put it into XML, we can read it on a page, we can export it as a PDF, we can export it into Excel and some other things, right? I think I saw Menno do that Tuesday morning. So that's a benefit. Utilizes, and at least the workflow that we'll look at today utilizes IFC and bSDD, and we'll look at what all these terms mean in a second. It defines data exchange requirements for objects in an authoring tool, right? I'm talking about Revit. We'll call it BIM, but it could be really any tool that supports IFC. And then it serves as a basic check for data properties. Is the data there, right? You know, we have these properties. Are they even filled in, right? And that was one of the things that we saw in some of the other master classes is, you know, you kind of put in this stuff, you run a check, and it comes back with a bunch of empty slots for properties because you don't have that data in your model. So that's one of the purposes of it. The other purpose too is for is kind of a simple model checking tool. And I put tool in quotes because I didn't want to confuse the fact that IDS is you know, a specification and it's not really a tool in and of itself. There's no place where you go download IDS and install it on your machine like an EXE, right? It can provide simple clash control and checking for data. It's for clash prevention, not control. And I wrote that down really because I've been saying this for years with other tools that we use. And I think it's really relevant. You know, we talk a lot about, at least in the architectural profession, about clashes and clash control and making sure that we resolve all of our clashes. And I would like to put things into place that prevent clashes. So I thought that was really great that someone else is saying it too. And so I put it in there because I think clash prevention is not better than clash control, but I mean, it can save you more time and heartache and probably money in the long run. Let's do another slide. Okay. Some of the IDS workflow terms that are in the few slides that I'll be talking about here. IDS, we already did that one. That's information delivery specification. bSDD is the bildingSMART data dictionary. BCF is a BIM collaboration format that a lot of applications can write out to and read in from. MVD is a model view definition, which is a subset of the IFC schema. So you take certain parts of it and that is your MVD. So you might have one for coordination or for transfer view or somewhere. What are we using today? Coordination 2.3, coordination view 2. All right. And then the IFC, of course, that's why we're all here. That's why we exist, is the industry foundation classes. So I was sitting in London and I was trying to figure all this out, and there was a lot of technical talk going on. And so I started sketching on my iPad, trying to think, okay, is this my understanding? So this was kind of a first pass at it. I've bumped it up a little bit, but you know, I basically, like I said, you know, the inception for this class was trying to understand this, and I took this up to Leon to say, is this right? Is this what you're talking about? Is this what this means? And he's like, yeah, it's perfect. Let's do a class. I said, okay, I'll do a class, and then later he's like, well, what are you going to do? Because we got a bunch of IDS classes, so you know, it's got to be really good. And I'm like, well, it's going to be really simple. So, I took another shot at kind of, you know, talking with people at the conference. I went to some of the master class sessions. Mirbek and I have been talking, Leon and I have been talking. And so I kind of came up with a second pass at this sort of workflow that I would give to someone who sits in my office to explain to them what it is we're trying to do with this IDS and bSDD workflow using IFCs, right? And MVDs. And if anybody in here knows more than I do, which is probably most of you, and you want to comment or correct me, feel free. I have thick skin. I don't care. So let's look at a few of these pieces. So you can go to the next slide there, Mirbek. Excellent. So at the very inception of this, right, I've got some model in an authoring tool, right? It's you know, where I come from, I'm using Revit, but it could be anything. So you've got your project, and then I made this. Boy, it's almost too hard for me to read from here, but I should know it. The first one, I'm going to stand up a little bit, right over here. So the first one are just the required room properties that we might get from a client, right? So they might say to us, well, you know, we need these things. Mirbek's got a bunch that he's already put in there. You know, we're doing our examples using IFC space. So a room from Revit, which we map to IFC space when we export ours. So they might come to us and say, well, we have all these requirements for your room. We need to make sure that we're getting all that data in, and then you need to give it back to us so that we can check it. And so, you know, we can create that in a text editor or an IDS tool. And I again, using air quotes because there isn't really a tool yet. I think we've talked in a few other sessions that there are some kind of tools, and I think you have one with some links, right? So there's some tools that are starting to be made. I tried to download the other day, but it's only in Dutch, so I couldn't use it because my Dutch is so bad. So, and then, you know, we use bSDD to import that into the authoring tool, right? So we get those parameters in there so that we can start to add those things. You can go to the next slide. So we've got our model there, and that model contains one or more rooms, I think, in our, we doing a kitchen or we just doing a space? We're doing a space that's a kitchen? All right, we're just doing a space. Yeah. So from there, next slide, We export this through IFC4 reference view. I put in IFC4 back when we did that, but for today's example, we use 2.3 coordination view. And that would, export all of the standard kind of IFC properties and some of the new IDS properties that we might have gotten from the client. So those come out, and we export those out via an MVD of some kind, right? So we've got all these different MVDs, which are, again, a subset of IFC. And those go out to our client, who then takes that model and validates it using some other tool, right? Some IDS tool. And then we create a loop, right? So again, we take that BCF report, in this case, we put it back into our model, we make amendments, we make changes, and then we keep doing this loop until things get resolved. And so, I think when Menos was talking, he said that, he's kind of the same thing. He does all of the modeling, he does all this stuff himself. I think he said he did it like 4 or 5 times, over the course of a project, where it's just like, let's get that thing through again, make sure that everything, that they're tracking, whatever that may be. In this case, again, it's rooms, but whatever we're tracking is being continually checked throughout the life of the project. So what else we got? Oh, what? It's like Mirbek time. While he's doing that, though, did anybody have anything they wanted to add? We've got a traveling mic, Artur, or anybody who wanted to talk. The last thing I want to do is put out information that I think is right but isn't. So. Yeah. Please, thank you.
Okay.
I don't, but
What?
maybe I'm working on it.
Okay, sorry.
And not on BSDD, but yeah, I'm the BSDD new product manager. All of you said more or less. Yeah, this is what it is. Yeah, this is correct. One comment just to avoid confusion in case somebody understand it this way. Yeah, BSDD is supporting both IDS and IFC. It's not like a tool to bring this IDS content to IFC. It's a reference library where you can put meaning. But yeah, it's just I wanted to add this to what you said. Yeah.
All right. So,
Thank you. You want this one?
yeah, I think we can use it for question answers.
Okay. I'll do the Q&A.
It's muted. Okay. So, shall I also get up? You can simply press this one.
Okay.
I can. Strange way. Okay. So I don't have to introduce myself. You already did. So yesterday I had a chance and honor to join Artur's masterclass meeting where all presented their examples. So I took a chance to merge that was David's idea and bring the additional step I had. So I will simply repeat again. Can you go back once to back? So you already mentioned what does acronyms mean, and now I will give you simply an analogy for all these acronyms. We in Italy, you all love it. Let's say cooking, and in general, everyone loves cooking. This is the easiest way to understand. Why we need some use cases. I will show you one specific use case that we will discuss today, and we will try it on one model. And this use case as a recipe, right? Your recipe. You need to know how to model. You need to know your ingredients. In case if you bake a pizza, you definitely know your model. You definitely know your processes. All the processes that you have should be exactly in time manner. Imagine you forgot your pizza in your oven. It will burn out, right? So it's the same way like in the construction site, you pour your concrete. It should be in time manner. And how much and what time, who is delivering that? That should the processes like the same way. So all these ingredients, you can simply simplify and tell to your colleagues, to everyone, even without a technical background. So that's simple thing. And we had a task from Artur that he said like what we understand as a bSDD, and that was the next slide now. I understand bSDD as a fridge. He had, I think it was a blog, right? I think it was a blog. It gave a real cool example of how to use bSDD and example of apples and so it's like vegetables and fruits, a domain. So then if you have a domain vegetable fruits, then they belong to a fridge, right? And not everything, but domain of dairy, like a milk product, will definitely be stored unless it's different type of milk. But you have some domains that you definitely can specify. And all the specification, you have properties, right? Milk products have the expiring date. If you do it later, maybe you'll have stomach problems, but still, all that objects, also in the construction industry, you have your specifications, you have your properties, your classification, and that's what we're gonna do now, and the display. All to bring together, it's not so easy how they belong together. You have this video. It originally came from buildingSMART Norway, and it was brought to BSI, and now currently it's famous video. You can see the link there. It's what openBIM does for you. And we were inspired. We, Gianluca, Genoa, Jeff Roulette, we had a chance to present one use case last time in Montreal and previously, describing what we were focusing on BCF, how to use BCF for some specific reason. And today, I extended that with bSDD. How bring all these things together? You have a building, and this is school. In school, children play, and I think that was a result of the playing. You have a door. Door has properties, manufacturer information. All that information you can, of course, map with properties or specification from the manufacturer. And this guy, the housemeister, housekeeper will have to deal with that, right? Changing how? You need to have information. You have maybe facility management tool, whatever, to track their information. And then you can track, of course, you put your PDTs. If you have a PDTs, you can use that directly and say, oh, okay, actually, I don't need that kind of door anymore. I can choose another door from other manufacturer, and I can put a specification and let's say open a tendering if it's public school, whatever. So that was an inspiration. And now, next. You can use IFC 4.3. It's a new one. I just wanted to know that, let you know that if you heard many times, there was even sessions, IFC 4.3, that now currently, why I'm bringing it here, all that new information is stored also as a domain in bSDD. You can find it, you can map it. And now I will give you a real, let's start with example. We will take an example. This is a use case we published recently. Feel free to go. I think this is, can you press the height there? Just give me a second. No, go back. There's a control. Oh, that was not a good idea.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so this is a use case with addressed BCF using for sustainability consulting. There's small companies or small individuals even, trying to bring all that together for retrofit projects. Why? Now explaining why retrofit projects. Worldwide, how many buildings are already built? You need to renovate them, someone retrofit them. And of course, some initiative, government, internal organization initiatives are trying to bring them forward, incentives. Next slide, please. Next. Yeah, now this is a case I'm specifically was using air tightness. Why air tightness? Because it's in many standards as building air tightness is very vital. It's 9%. If you improve air tightness, you have a 9% energy efficiency just for air tightness. Imagine you have another things like insulation, improved thermal breach-free construction, and so on. And this is a for LEED certification. This is a standard, like passive house standard, local standards. They all everywhere in European Union. You need to have a below door test to do. In the US, especially for US Army, you have even specification. You must have to do this below door test. Next one. Why air tightness? You see those issues like draft, like mold, like simple classical. You can document them with thermal bridge cameras. Sorry, thermal bridge with Vanderbilt camera. It's infrared thermal imaging. Yeah, that was a requirement that we stored on UTM. If I'm too excited and too fast, please tell me. Please count down. Yeah, they go back. All right. Yeah, we have actually. Yes, yesterday I had 15 minutes. That's why I had to today I have more time, so I will relax now. Whew. Why was yeah? I'll breathe.
Take your time, Mirbek. We got all the time in the world.
Sorry.
We got all the time in the world. Just take your time.
Okay. If something is not clear, please ask me directly. It's not discussion. We can leave it as a discussion. But if something not clear, I can give you at least some clear why. So this is simple requirement: how to perform building air tightness documentation, and what you need to perform blower door test. And you need not only blower door test; it's ISO standard. It's also EN norm. And in the European Union, you need to do that according to the standard. STM, I guess it's a standard in the US that you need. There is a protocols like US SCE, like United States Army Corps of Engineers. They also do that, some specific document that I really had to perform once. Really tough thing. You need to have specific tools like thermal camera, right? Normal camera, to document them. You need to blow a door itself. You need maybe BIM authoring tool because you need the models. Classically, on construction site, you go there. What I got, I have a paper. In reality, right? In reality, mark them. You say, I have a problem on the first floor. That's not the case. So in use case management, we put our simple requirements like what I need to have, at least to mark my requirements in the model. So I definitely, and where those problems may occur, classical Windows. If you look at Windows, you definitely need to map them. You have, of course, property sets. You can use them. You can profile from property sets. You have them related one like infiltration. You have property set condition. You can assessment conditions, why they're related, and you have site. When you go into a site to perform a blower door test, you need to. It's according to these requirements. You put in inputs, right? You have your inputs. You have to input address. You have to register current condition, weather condition, because it's related, pressure, temperature, and so on. Next slide, please. And which building, as a building outside criteria, like I said, building use, what is building type, and space comments that we're going to discuss today. Thermal loads, it might be interesting because what loads we'll have to, occupancy requirements. Next, please. And of course, that's most important for me. It's really a vital one. It's most important, base quantities. I need to know the air volume that I need to push into that building. Because it's a quantity of air, I have a blower door test, and there might be one single fan or multiple fans. It can be even a truck that coming like of course skyscraper. It can be a big trailer that will be pushing the air into that building. And of course, there might be interesting cases, and if you go to bSDD, use this keyword, air leakage, whatever, and other examples, you will find related properties, related classification, whatever was published here. Air leakage, I found something, air leakage rate, really good thing, but unfortunately applied only for applicable to dampers. Actually, you can definitely use it for window, for doors, for building envelope in general. The same way like air leakage class, but it was only applied to distribution system ventilation. So next one. And what I dive deeper, you can do it yourself. Just go to bSDD, I will give you the next page, you'll show that later. Write down your keyword and you'll find the related standards. This is a classification that you can find there. I guess that one of them were from A-team, I think another one for an NBS, National Building Certification, I remember, from the US. And this is note that what I said, those standards could be applied not only for plumbing or for HVAC, but also windows. This is most important. That's our problem. That's what we need to discuss. We chose one example as a classical example, because while you're classical, it's simple example, because with a small scale building, you can do whatever, and you implement that on the bigger one. Maybe you're already sitting in construction site. You sit where in construction in such a container building, and they are not always energy efficient. They're really in some cases they are leaky. They have many problems. They thermal breaks, sometimes even maybe other different problem. Mold can be also problem occurring later on. So this is a building that will show later on. As you can see, there's already blower test installed. We run simulation later on. And this building was, of course, an example, also real example, same time, was on the construction site, new one. That's an interesting point of prefabrication. The current ones, according to new standards requires that you do that blower test already at the factory before it left the building. So you have more now with the new standards, you have more opportunities. But the old ones, like 20 years, they will have a lot of issues like this. As you can see, they didn't have AC units, so they have a lot of workers. They simply drill a hole and put the AC unit, and they can see, but they are not energy experts. They forgot to seal it properly. So you have a leakage, and air leakage is money, because you are conditioning that air in building. It's hot climate maybe, and it will be simply leaking through, and you spend a lot of money. Same for windows, not the perfect windows, and go on. Next one. Imagine that kind of building. Wow, that will be tricky to document all that kind of leakage, because in small scale, it's still tricky. Imagine I did the blow test in 2010, and I left company, or it doesn't matter. I was hit by a truck, whatever, right? Who knows where this thing occurred on that building? Try to document. So that was an answer, BCF, because BCF, when you do that, you map into the specific location, story. You choose exactly the building material, object. You say this building, this material has, or this window was leaky, and I can directly go to the place and say they had a problem. We can make an improvements and document that. So this is theory. Now I'll show you in reality. Go next. That was exactly on that use case that you have seen before, the published one. There's a video, so you can check how we handle that. As you can see, we communicated the stuff back again. And communication, that was an outcome of our research, let's say, for use case, that actually you cannot, you are able not only share information, but also share certificates, intermediate results, end results, like final results of simulation, saying, oh, okay, guys, we did, it's exactly the same container. We did the daylight analysis, and as you can see, it's red. It didn't pass our requirements. Can you maybe install maybe skylight? To taking into account the skylight should also later be maybe protected from sun, so it's a hot region the same way. And you can perform another simulations like thermal imaging, or simply check if there is a thermal breach free construction is really was applied into that building. Now I go to bSDD. So in bSDD, how you meet all that classifications in general, like I said, I simply entered infiltration, how I found it. As you can see there, you have domains, you have classifications, you have properties. And if you open one specific property, of course, you can't see the property set. But still, some improvements, maybe some additions may be available in the future, but that will be really cool to see property sets as well in one place. Why it's red? Strange. Okay, it's not a big deal. No, go back. So this is how it looks. You have organization. One organization stores domain, right? You have domains and many other domains. So as a like energy industry, it's just an example. You have one, let's say as a domain, you have classification, wind turbines. You can have their types, and you can bring as a type, let's say wind properties, and you have relations if it's related to maybe IFC generation, IFC generator or some other entity. You can map them together. I say not map. You can say it has a reference to that IS. So you can do classification and plus relate them to existing other existing classifications or entities. Same way you can tell that actually I belong to. So it means it belongs to something or a part of something. And the same way you have properties, and you can relate that property to one specific class and saying like I'm a property set of something. So this you have to zoom out. I will not touch anything. I will not zoom. I will explain the workflow what he already made, and David already showed you this loop. So this is actually a loop, and my robot which we tried. No, sorry.
It's the fancy version.
Yeah, I will discuss that. We have the same thing, right? So we said we will go through, we'll bring you to that stages. So we will go now slowly into next stage. So like I already mentioned, this is actually directly from extract from bSDD documentation. You can see everything has a related material. You can have a reference is like, well, is a part of or child of something. So this is not every domain did it. I mean, in some cases, there are some attempts, I guess, experiments. I did it myself as well. Some others tried as well. So it simply should be one time proved. And I guess there's even a status in bSDD now that domain has been approved or something like that. Arthur, you can confirm that? It's something like, you can do it later. Let's do it later. So there is exactly even a badge, I guess. It's something badge you can check. It has been approved, quality approved. So this is a good thing. Because otherwise, we have many domains here, and then we have. So this, I made it. It's an experiment. It's not exactly because it will be improved further. It's on the draft, let's say. Of course, that's building airtightness. It's not like what I had present because we were related to a use case, and so okay, let's bring use case there. It's related to a building. It's related to IFC window, door, wall, roof, slab, space. Why? Because it's building envelope. So we need to do that, and we'll take a space today as an example. Yeah, and I said, okay, we have two values. I will not dive deep into telling what type of issues we have, like mold, rust, and humidity, and what we also had, the cracks on the walls. And you remember, Arthur, you asked me the question yesterday. It was exactly, you can definitely extend that and say those types to mark them, because you don't have to build them and like build a crack in your model, right? You simply choose a wall. You choose this property, like a class, and say in the building and the wall you have, let's say, property, and you choose what issues you have there. So the issue, is it issue are present? Yes. And what type? It's like crack or opening. I don't know, it's like the hole that they drilled in the wall. Let's go further. And there are different types of applications currently, a few of them implemented, like you have seen there, extract from SketchUp. That actually C 4.3 is already available in bSDD, but capability of software should always be taken into account. And you have there currently IFC4 as a maximum SketchUp that we have seen. and I can filter them and say I have a building airtightness as a domain. As soon as I found filter my domain, I found my, let's say, my classification and those properties issues. And then some other examples. I took one example from global warming potential. As you can see, there's some limitations which you should know. I think the implementation software companies, they will definitely now, after this feedback, they will think how to improve that part. Because as you can see, remember, I also did the same thing in bSDD. I mapped up with, I see building, I see window, door, space, and so on, right? The same thing here, global warming potential. They applied to global warming potential, APD indicators. They applied it for the building, window, wall, slab, IFC element part, and roof. If you map that with, you choose this, right, and you bring it to the model, you click on the window, it will not be applied. It's something, it will, maybe the first thing it will apply is if the building, but it's of course a mapping issue, or let's say bug. I will not say it's bug, it's some improvements are needed. So that's, or this part should be, let's say, enumerated values. You choose as a user by yourself what is applicable. Actually, if it's a, let's say in my case is a crack, I choose a crack and I map that with my real issue. That's example. So next one. And now part, shall we, I think is John there? Okay, how much time now? Oh, plenty of time. Then I will switch now to the model before we start with IDS, right? This is just an example of this, and I will explain to you later. Let me go to the model, which is you hear me? You see that building, right? I was not talking a store fairy tales. It exists. And of course, it's replication. It was like old file was lost, and some things I have to check and to simply go. This is a normal building that we had. The same in the construction site, exactly one-to-one. But one thing I had to tell you. You remember this problem, right? We had issue of opening. I would call it as a problem because they drilled a hole that was not supposed to be there. And of course, that hole we have, if you double click that, show me where we have this part is, you can see pictures is also real. And I opened the issue telling guys that we have actually something that shouldn't be there, but it's not a big deal. And of course, I told the guys explaining, make it a little bit bigger. Please reflect that on the model and seal the opening IFC through bSDD. Okay, that's what you need. They need to seal it because the opening itself should be sealed. It's already there. Nothing to do. They have to do that. And plus, if you do opening, what are you going to do? How are you going to model that in opening in the model? You use something, right? You use provision for what? For opening. Or you simply use IFC opening. It can be both ways. And what is the positive side of doing so? You can directly map them and saying, was it sealed or not? Like we can do that as well. That was a second, one example, the one issue. We have the same issue, like you have seen, the gasket are not, it's classical. It's not even maybe here in the other building. So you have a chance to bring that part and tell the housekeeper window should be replaced, or you change the gaskets. There's the easiest, cheapest way to change the gaskets. But next day, as a renovation should go on, you need to do that. But how I did it? I simply did it through bSDD and BCF, and simply brought to the contractor or whoever is sitting on that that construction building, so container building. Now I go to the same way. You can see, right? That guy. One thing I should mention here: I didn't use servers, so this is just an offline version. It can be really automated, but imagine me as a airtightness engineer or like a sustainability consultant. I don't use BIM applications or BIM authoring tools every day, or even I'm a client. I don't need that, but I need to see my build. I should see if I require IFC as a delivery method. At the end, I have my as-built model, so I will have to have it as with a normal IFC viewer, right? So, but the advantage of at the same time advantage of BCF, it can be sent together with a model, and you can say simply import that part, and you can see directly those issues or whatever was that documentation. Excuse me. So you bring that documentation. As you can see, I as an airtightness engineer, sustainable consultant, I did my job. I gave my response, and I said the opening is sealed, right? And status and the issue is closed. So I'm done. If in reality, if the biggest big company, they have a facility management, they probably will have issue management platform. They will have, and the issue management will be already tracked there. Is it open? And later on, it's closed, and you have. I did my job. I sealed that thing by myself. I definitely can confirm that, and when it was sealed. So if something happens, then you can sue that guy, and in general. But that is a document. And this outcome of that use case that we published was not only IFC transport information, but also BCF. BCF is especially a really good, cool thing when you do that for dynamic information, because IFC is static. As soon as you build your house, let's say, you pay to architect, it's sent, it's ready. Unless if you have a lot of money, you can send an architect another contract and like, can you update me that hole in the building? It will be, of course, additional resources. But for dynamics, you need to do something. So now I will switch to the model. I simply directed my desk cut. Don't want to spend much time now importing and exporting the model. So this is the same model that I used, and I thought what we talked about, we will use IFC space, right?
Yeah.
So we have IFC space. I can simply do this way. Let's make it. I will simply. We can maybe. Check. So we will simply hide some windows or doors. It's up to you. Or we simply directly choose a window, right? We are free to do so. As you can see, we have this API, like a plugin that connects directly to bSDD. You remember I mentioned that one. We have IFC4 as a schema. Let's IFC 2x3 as well. Make it a little bit to the left. And we have domains. As you can see, there are dozens of domains. And of course, there are some of them already published. Some of them are as a test domains. That's why it's still visible. And that's a test domain that we created to building airtightness. I can simply open the other one, IFC, because we don't know what we're gonna do now. I mean, which class or entity we should use. So simply made an experiment. I need IFC spatial zone. There was a session today, previous session. I can find, do we have a spatial zone? I can choose fire safety that we discussed today. I will choose our fire safety, and we have IFC fire safety without properties difference. Some predefined types have properties, right? Some not. We can choose maybe directly IFC spatial zone, with then we can directly see the properties. Yeah, those properties. It's a air pressurization. Yeah, can we do that? Is it it has a fire safety? Yes, we can do. But first of all, I need to choose space. This is my space. In a second. Yeah, there you are. So we need, if we want to have a sprinkle system on the other P sets, I simply can add my information. I can map them. I can add my, so all these properties are already available, right? So I don't need to type them. I don't need to, like, it will be a best example also in Revit. So we can choose a Revit and say, oh, and then I spare my time for all this manual work. You remember, you have to, if you want to do some custom properties, you need to spend time in the Revit. So it helps. It indeed helps. It's property. That's a really important message to software vendors. Please implement it in other softwares as well. This is a really cool thing when you bring a bSDD together. And now I can simply check, okay, IFC zone common is it external? No, it's not external. So I will simply map and say apply. Now what we see, it was previously IFC space, right? I now have a spatial zone. Or I'll do this as a completely new one next to it. And I can simply create a new, let's say, shape, and tell me that will be a simple space next to the building, like a column maybe. It's up to us, not the best way. This one. I can create my model out of nothing and see, this is a IFC spatial zone, right? I just wanted to directly map it. IFC spatial zone. Is it external? Is a fire safety? It's a fire exit? No, it's not. So it's air conditioned? No, it's external. I just wanted to keep a space for that. And it has natural ventilation. Yeah, theoretically, is external. That's why also all what I need to apply into that one. But before, in some cases, we need to create a component. It's let's say spatial zone. That's what I forgot to do. So and as a spatial zone, as you can see, give me a second to show all materials. I can choose that one and apply all these properties. Apply selection. Takes a little bit moment. As a result, we have as a type already applied IFC spatial zone. So it's good for mapping. I don't need to spend my time if I'm not sure, I'm really new for this world, especially using SketchUp. Many architects, many small small consultant firms, they using SketchUp still nowadays, especially for landscape architecture. Me as a sustainable consultant, I can use a SketchUp as well. So it's a daily basis, really good thing. Of course, you have some limitations, but you need to do this mapping. And that's if I'm not familiar, but I know the keywords that I need. Like if I know zones, I can simply write down a zone. Or in this case, it can be column, but I don't know how it's mapped in IFC. So I definitely find that, and I definitely don't know which property set has IFC column, right? I can simply go on, I say P set column common. I can use them, fill my, let's say, those requirements that we identified in IDS, we can directly map and simply bring my properties into the model. So now I will switch back to the to IDS slowly. Before any questions regarding this, like workflow, was it clear enough? Is it any? Do you have any specific questions? Yeah, I do. I see there's a question now. Was it clear? Should we go to the slides again and explain some points where we were not clear enough?
See what questions we get, Mirbek. We've got a couple of questions online from Roger Grant as well, but let's take the one in the room first.
All right.
Got 20 minutes, Mirbek.
Sorry. Yeah.
So I had a question. You were showing the use case where you took some pictures and communicated by BCF.
BCF, yeah.
Were you using some specific application? What's the workflow? Because usually if we go through the building site, we have like hundreds of photos.
Yeah.
And I need to immediately post it. Currently, we are using FieldWire for that. Like,
yeah.
I'm just wondering how you bridge this gap, 2D and 3D together.
Well, that's a great question. I did this also same with building. You point a really good point. It's difficult saying. You need to have, of course, you bring your iPad or your tablet, whatever you have your viewer, right? You can create your BCF directly at the same time. But the prerequisite that I forgot to mention, I think in the use case management, I can go back to that use case. Let me check quickly, switch to the PowerPoint presentation, is it? Here, it was exactly from video. You need as a matter of fact, you need a building, as I see it already.
I mean, like we have building.
Yeah.
In construction phase, we have IFC files.
Yeah.
And usually our managers that are on building site, they are still using FieldWire. We would love to bring it, all these clash detections and problems to IFC files. So FieldWire is really not supporting that, and I was wondering, maybe you know a better way how to like go through the building, take hundreds of photos, and immediately kind of post it. Like basically, okay, here you have Solibri. You're showing other programs as well that have possibility to show those pictures, but usually that workflow is a kind of through the computer. And site managers usually use iPads or iPhones or something like that.
I know the solution like Daleks. I think they're also using pictures directly to communicate that. They can. I think, yeah, there are some other solutions, of course. Why I was using Solibri, because it has a commercial part, it has a freely part, and the one currently I'm showing, I can directly demonstrate how I did it. You create a BCF, you have a view output, you pick one simple, let's say I pick this window, and I create the issue directly there. In this window, I create a view port and tell, guys, we have a problem there. We have gaskets, whatever, window is broken, and I open issue. But at the same time, on reality here, as you can see the picture there, I replace a picture with real photo. Of course, this is a limitation. It's limited to one picture. I agree. You have tons of other, maybe different waves of single element. That might be interesting for the next development of a BCF 3.0, maybe, but sorry?
You can have more pictures in one topic.
Exactly. Into one use case. So you can simply add additional waveports and you put additional, for one single issue, you can put additional pictures, same way.
Okay,
but it's of course it takes time. But it's anyways it's better than I go through with my paper. Like in real world, I do that and I mark it in my paper that I have a broken window on the 10th floor in the corridor or in somewhere in the. Try to find it later on.
I mean, like this case, I really I'm mostly working as a BIM manager in our project. So I kind of support BIM, but seeing how they're managing 2D documentation in FieldWire, I kind of recognize that these things are still maybe lacking in the 3D space. For example, you now have added that issue to one object. If architect updates the model and for some reason he deletes that object and places a new one, that issue disappears.
No, it will not disappear because the BCF is
locations
yeah.
disappear. So, and in larger projects,
Actually not.
if you lose the locations, that might be tricky. So, but okay,
Mirbek,
maybe
can I?
later we can
Yeah,
talk
sure.
about that. I had a small question as well about BCDD.
Yeah, sure.
We had as well with colleagues a discussion about that in public sector we are not supposed to, and we kind of don't want to see specific materials from manufacturers. And in previous sessions you were talking about as well that kind of that information is owned by manufacturers, and you kind of are linking that information with specific materials and manufacturers. How you can see that's kind of implemented as well in public sector, where you are kind of trying to avoid to specify specific materials.
I will try to answer both, if you allow me, Mirbek.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so thanks. I think the first one, I can answer just by saying that we have to distinguish software implementation from standards. And we have openBIM standards such as BCF. In BCF, there are like a lot of possibilities what you could do. You can attach a topic. You can attach it to objects, so you can specify which objects in your model are connected to it. You can specify a viewpoint, so you can put like a camera where you want to point at in your model. There are tools that support it. You can do it on your phone, on your tablet, on the site. I don't want to favorize any, as you said, there's Dialogs, BIM Collab, many. So yeah, BCF supports it. Software does not necessarily have to. There are many of them. And the question about bSDD. Basically, we don't want any manufacturer's data. bSDD is not for project or manufacturer's data. It is for agreeing on shared understanding of concepts such as what is concrete or what is watertight concrete. Like to share the concepts. For example, the road authorities in Finland use it to specify what they understand as, I don't know, upper layer. So they need to share it with stakeholders so that everybody speaks the same language. And it's more than just a dictionary, like you compare it. It's also a bit more. It's like a reference library where you can put more information about the meaning of a concept than you can in simple IFC parameter. Because there you just have a name, and we can have different opinions what this name means. But in bSDD, you can specify what is it, how you measure it, what's the unit. Yeah, basically there could be many different definitions of carbon footprint or global warming potential depending on what standards you follow. So yeah, bSDD is a place where you can put this definitions. We can follow up. I don't want to steal too much time on this one, but yeah. Sorry. Thanks.
Thank you, Arthur. And by meaning that you remember I mentioned the door. I said for tendering purposes. Of course, you had the previous manufacturer, right? And there might be some specifics that you need to fill. You don't fill the information from that manufacturer, but you have PDTs. Like what properties you definitely need? Is it? It has a what they call it, door stopper. Maybe it has a smoke screen or some other like properties that they definitely require for that school, whatever, and you can use that through bSDD actually, right?
As long as it's universal.
Yeah, sure. That's what I mean.
Thanks, Arthur. Thanks, Mirbek. We had a question about half an hour ago from Roger Grant, actually, when you were talking about MVD, possibly on the start of the demo.
Yeah.
You said that you could share the MVD with clients. Roger was saying, how would that work?
Did I say
that?
that?
Did you mean that you were going to share the MVD with clients? Perhaps not.
No.
No.
I didn't.
Okay. All right.
And Roger was also.
I might have said we shared data via an MVD, but no.
I
Okay.
didn't say you. I didn't mention any NVIDIA.
Okay, all right. Well,
Okay, then now we can simply explain here. You use MVD in your daily life. If you're dealing with exporting, importing, you do that because it's classical, right? You know that you have someone wants an IFC model. How you do that? You export it. You have your Revit, you have your ArchiCAD, you have other BIM authoring tool. You go and you export. You choose those MVDs, like classic IFC 2x3 coordination view, IFC 4 reference view, or design transfer view, and but they are basic ones, so it is like a must-have ones, and still, especially IFC 4 reference view is being standard certified, and many applied, implemented it, so it's a good one to use and as a reference. And you send your model through MVD. Later on, you validate it with IDS. Yeah, I think Arthur wants to say a comment there.
Yeah, good point. I just wanted to add one more thing. And I won't use this cake metaphor because I think it might be a bit confusing to some, but basically MVD is more for technical implementation. So you select a part of IFC so it's easier to implement it. So if you have a software only for roads, maybe there is no point in implementing roofs because it takes time and you don't need it. So to have subset for particular purpose or something. But I wouldn't put it on the same row with IDS because it's more for requiring specific things on the project.
Need
maybe
some improvements, of course.
Yeah.
Here, as you can see, I put not the whole piece of cake because not everyone wants to have the whole piece of cake, and cake can have some, especially children say, I want to have rant is like I want to have only part where without cream, or I want only topping, it's like only chocolate of that, or as a children they are always expressing that exactly what I want in that case. I want only cherries, right? And exactly the same way in building construction, some say I need only building envelope. I'm a sustainable consultant. I want to do energy simulation. I need to have a building envelope and related information, like I want to have U values or lambda thermal conductivity information regarding your insulation. That's what we need. I don't need to send you, I don't know, statics. That's not my interest. So this is exactly what we do with MVD. Okay. So no other questions? Or we do have one question?
No, we have no other questions online at this time. Are there any other thoughts, comments, or questions in the room that anyone would like to raise for Mirbek, David?
I hope it was not confusing. So far went smooth. If you have still not something clear, feel free to ask, that we will discuss that. We have plenty of time. Yeah, okay, we'll make it a little bit early. So, shall we continue now?
Are there any more questions, or have you got any more information to show in the demo, Mirbek? Or are we...
now I'll go to this part where you create ideas, and I will not dive really deep into that because it's still it should be expect to be candidate standard. Is some improvement implementation expected? That's why we will simply demonstrate some stuff that was already there. What is not that we everyone speculates what we're talking about. I would give a credit. I find it personally really great thing what Arthur developed in the past, and it's still for demonstration, but it's a really good thing. It's as you can see, this is a platform where you can specify your requirements. And what is the requirements here? I just sorry for it was different example. We thought we will make it a dishwasher there, but we changed our minds. Everything always dynamic. So the same way IDS, everything is dynamic. You can put your stuff. As you can see, we said we called the specification for dishwasher. Why specification with dishwasher? We mapped that with IFC electric appliance because there are a lot of related information there. And we said our information, our model should have IFC electric appliance, predefined type dishwasher. So I'm not inventing something, it's already there. And I say I require that dishwasher has specific property sets like unset. So there is one P set that is you can choose a type of a dishwasher. You can go to BSD, by the way, and check that exactly how it looks like. And I can put that as an unset. So you can see this dishwasher is also available as a human readable, as a specification, as a lower part. It says your ideas in a human readable version as specification. All elements of entity has an IFC electric appliance and of a predefined type. Dishwasher should have predefined type dishwasher and property type, like a dishwasher type and property set and set. So it means I definitely use, I will, in the modeling, when I will be modeling this thing, I will definitely choose dishwasher and I will put my type as unset. If I put if I choose accidentally or maybe without knowledge, I choose my type as I think it's a pot washer. There's also bottle washer. If I choose as a bottle washer and I send this IFC model later on to my client, and client will run this IFC validation, IDS validation, it will alert the user, in this case, the client, saying we have there a problem because it's not unset. It's specific type was used. So I think it was correct, right, Arthur? I didn't. It's of course that's the same way. It's machine readable, as you can see. I can bring it to any application, and it will be there. So you don't have to worry about it. There are plenty of applications, editors, creators, let's say. There, as you can see, there are editors, there are viewers, there are new ones, there are old ones. I mean, old ones that already have some even other implementations. I like I said, planning to apply them, and I guess Arthur can tell us more. Maybe there are more to come. Currently, we don't know, but it's.
IFC tester. Where is it? That's the one that you were showing.
Yeah, no, because I exactly. I wanted. Actually, I gave a tester there as a link. You can see that. But it's a really great tool. It has yet no import function, right? Or you still did. You have to imply that.
What's the one that Menos had that's on GitHub?
I think.
So yeah, just to give some context, the page that you were seeing,
This one. Yeah.
it was made for presentation in a matter of 2 days, just to present the idea of IDS. It works. It's still active, but it's not updated for the last 2 years.
Okay,
So,
I can try to open that one.
No, don't.
No, come on. I would love to do that.
There are a lot of cool. Yeah, there are a lot of cool tools already that have much more functionalities, features, and this was based on the code I was working for. There was this summer project paid by Google, and we just did this as implementation in IFC OpenShell, and now it's being developed. It's called IFC Tester, and it's open source, available on GitHub. There is interface in BlenderBeam and so on. So that's just one of the many tools, and what you could see in the website is just tiny bit of IDS.
This is one. Yeah, here you are. So the page is here. So you can post it somewhere. I don't know how you can share that. I make it bigger maybe. And so you just write down your specification. You can add new one. You can specify new specification. You can use it, right, as a demonstration, just to
You
say
can, just don't rely on
demo.
it. It's really just a demo.
Yeah, it's a demo. It's still nice approach, and you can have an IFC element. It's not an IFC element, but let's say we have on the material, and you can add some material on top. You can add quantity sets, you can property set. That's all your requirements. Everything that you want to see later on in the model that you need to specify. Of course, you want to add something?
Please continue. I can just add later.
Yeah, so that, of course, there is another tool that enables you to validate. That's really nice tools, and I wish we have more. And so that IDS should be as a open standard, should be it's the same way available like IFC to be sent to everywhere. So they kind of import it back like an IFC viewer and simply check that directly so that they have to type it again. That's, I guess, main point of IDS. So the idea of merging bSDD, shall I mention that? bSDD that currently, I guess, steering committee of UCM is trying to bring this idea that actually bSDD and UCM should be brought together. I mean, linked together, sorry. So that when you define your use cases, you bring your requirements, right? So you do that requirements with the help of IDS. Then you have you give a chance for all users there to download that IDS and maybe input into their validation tools or simply into their models. So I want to go back, I think, to the presentation.
So we're in the last 10 minutes, Mirbek, just to bear in mind.
I think we can come to the end now slowly. You remember, I just wanted to give an example of dishwasher now into bSDD. That was exactly the point I was talking about, dishwasher. I choose this dishwasher. I go into dishwasher types, and if you choose dishwasher type, I will put here unset. That's what I do. Of course, in some cases, actually, this should be a drop-down menu. I mean, that types should. The problem of no, it's not a big problem. It's not. I guess the values are not out of scope. As I remember, it was out of scope from bSDD that the values are not currently.
Again, yeah, we have to distinguish
discussed.
software implementation from
absolutely
standards and services from buildingSMART. But yeah, bSDD is not to say this should be of this value. You can say it could be restricted to some range of values, or it could have some possible values, but it's not to say that a fridge should have 2 meters.
Okay. Then last example, it was everything about AIC, and I will bring it to this building airtightness, as how just so that you will see how it looks like outside of IC schema and the building air tightness. As you can see, I found it. Groups, and that's all the standards I linked them together, like I mentioned before. Is the other Uniclass here? There are other examples from NBS, and I said that this is related to IFC window, with a door, wall, roof, and all that there. And of course, as soon as you choose that, automatically their property sets will also come with. It's an implementation that way, but some improvements expected now. So, and this is my building envelope type issue. Do you remember issue like? Let's say crack. I have my crack there, or I cracked it, and we are all done. So with this point, I think we can wrap up our session, and we can try experiment all the time. Feel free; it's all available there. And the presentation we will share, I guess, in the box, right? It will be available, and just contact us anytime if you have suggestions, feedback. You're all welcome. I'm really happy to discuss with you, and thank you for your attention. David, you want to add something?
No.
Thank you.
Safe travels.
And thank you for joining us.
Thanks to Mirbek and David and to Arta for that excellent demonstration of how to use IFC. It was a container building, but it did have elements of kitchen in it as well. Just to be precise on the area that we covered, but it was great. Thank you, guys. Thanks to everyone who joined us in the room and online in the Hopin platform. This is the last of the room sessions at this summit, but the summit continues in the morning when the closing plenary will be taking place from 9 a.m. in the main room, the main theatre-style room, back near the entrance and exit of the building. So thanks for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you in the morning. Thank you.